Can you fail in your journey to self-love? This was a question that I received on one of my surveys. And can you fail? As soon as I saw this question, I thought, wow, that's a very powerful question. Can you go on a journey of self-love and fail? So this is what I have for my answer for that. I have 3 whys. There is willingness, your why, and wholeness. If you're watching this video, then you probably are on a journey of self-love, or you probably are wanting to be on a journey of self-love. Maybe you're struggling, or you're finding yourself sabotaging your relationships, your goals, just everything that you actually want in life. You might be noticing that you're sabotaging it. Maybe you notice that you really want to achieve something, but you just can't get yourself to act on it because you don't believe in yourself. And at some point you realize, I need to love myself. This has something to do with my relationship with myself. And so this is why you're probably watching this video, because maybe there is some sort of fear or doubt around this process, this journey of self-love that you're on. And so I'm here to make this very easy for you, and I'm here to help make this very clear so that you can understand that you can fail on the journey of self-love. You can, like in anything, in the short run, but not the long run, because every long-term success is a result of many failures. So it's all in the way that you look at it. I'm going to break some things down so that you can consider these things on your journey of self-love so that you don't fail, okay? So I'll share with you what you need to do, or what will have you fail if you don't consider these things, okay? So the first one is willingness. So finding success on your journey of self-love, finding success on this journey is no different than finding success in anything in life. So if you're not willing to do what it takes, of course you're gonna fail. Can you fail at being a mother? Well, if you're gonna be a mother, but you're not willing to do what it takes to be a mother, you're gonna fail at being a great mother, of course. If you want to run a successful business, but you're not willing to do what it takes to run a successful business, of course you're gonna fail running a business. So if you want to succeed in your journey of self-love, if you're not willing to do what it takes, yes, you will fail. So the first thing I would say is your willingness. You need to be willing to do what it takes to love yourself. Okay? And that's a whole video in itself, but just know that you need to be willing to do what it takes. And knowing what it takes and understanding what it takes is a process that I can teach you, and that I will teach you along the way. But the first thing I do with my students on the Journey to Rise program is I actually have them sign a piece of paper, and it says permission to rise. So this is the very, very, very first step on their onboarding process, where they have to sign a permission to rise contract. And on this contract, it says that they agree to the following, because if they don't agree to the following, the journey is not possible. So the first one is they need to be willing to be open. You have to have an open mind and an open heart, because the things that are getting in the way of you fully experiencing love fully for yourself, to have that true full experience, there are things that are in the way that you know about and that you don't know about. And so in order for you to really explore or understand the things that you don't know about, you got to be willing to look at them. And most of the time, if not all the time, they're not easy things to look at. And so it could cause us to be defensive, or it could cause us to be ashamed and all this stuff, which keeps us in a cycle. So you have to be willing to be open to the things that you maybe don't know. Number 2 is you have to trust the process. You absolutely have to trust the process. And so the reason why is because, again, in anything in life, if there is a lack of trust in any process, it's just a weak foundation. Trust is so fundamental in anything, because trust, the role that trust plays is our ability to persevere through things and to really work through things when they're challenging. That happens because we trust in the process. So we're not afraid, or we're not, resistant, or we don't step back from the challenges that arise, because we trust in the process. And it also allows us to be loyal and faithful to the process. If we don't trust in a process, we're going to dab a little bit here, we're going to try looking over here, we're not actually fully committed. So once you trust the process, you're going to be both feet in, you're going to be all in in the process, and you're going to get way better, a way better outcome. And I say outcome because the journey's not really an outcome, but there is a phase that it's quite difficult, the first phase, where it's kind of like the roots of a flower. There is the underground part, but there is a point where you break free and see the light. And it is an evolutionary journey, yes, but there does get to a point where, you get to really truly blossom, okay? The third one is that you must take full responsibility. Everything is your fault. Just assume that. If you're willing to, and again, this is not, if you notice, it has nothing to do with just the process of self-love, but with anything. If you're going to run a business, when it comes to relationships, anytime you want to get to a solution, you always have to connect. If you want to connect yourself to a solution, you got to connect yourself to the problem. And so you got to attach yourself to the problem and take responsibility for something. So when it comes to the journey of self-love, the same goes for that too. You have to take responsibility. If you're walking around not taking responsibility for the things that are happening in your life, then you're going to start to embody an identity that is more victim-based. And when you're a victim, you can't experience love for yourself. You just can't. Okay? It's disempowering, it's defeating, and it just doesn't work. So you have to be willing to take responsibility. Even if in the world of right and wrong, someone did you wrong, something happened, it was wrong, and you're right and wrong, and what you're really trying to achieve, love or anything, they don't exist in the same world. Nobody cares who's right and wrong. So all that matters is you take responsibility, you continue to trust the process, you be open to looking what you got to look at, and you keep going. Now, the fourth one is patience. You absolutely have to have patience. And I'll tell you why. Because love is something that appreciates, right? So you can't experience love you can't experience that love for yourself if it was that easy. Because there would be no appreciation for it. And so there is work to be done. You got to persevere through it. You have to, again, be willing to go through the process. And that's going to take patience, because if you're entitled or you're outcome-based and you just want a result without having to work for it, then you're going to quit before you even get to see or experience the results, because the results are happening from the moment you decide. That's a whole other video. But by the time it starts to materialize and you get to experience it, if you're not patient, you're going to quit. So it's quite obvious why you want to consider being patient, okay? So that is the first thing. The first thing is your willingness. You've got to be willing to do those 4 things. And if you're willing to do those 4 things, you're already on your way to a successful journey to rise. You're already on your way to a successful journey of self-love. Okay? You're less likely to fail. The second thing is the why. The why. Now, ask yourself, why do you want to love yourself? If you're wanting to love yourself because it seems like that's what everyone else is doing, or you want to love yourself so that you can get attention from someone or something inside of you. If the motive is still external, no matter what you're willing to do, okay, now it's just not even authentic. So there's no authenticity to that. The only way that you could be successful in the process of loving yourself the reason is for you and for you only. Because you live with yourself 24 hours a day. You have to be with yourself 24 hours a day. You have to put up with yourself 24 hours a day. And so you gotta love you for the sake of you being happy, because everything else you can set boundaries around, but you are with yourself, and you really have to understand that it has to do with your own internal environment, and it has to be driven from something intrinsic, what's important to you. So again, if it's for anything outside of you, to receive something from outside, but you're going through the motions of the prior things I shared with you about what you're willing to do, it won't work. It's not going to work. And that's also for anything in life as well. So these are just common principles that I'm teaching, okay? And then finally, the third one is wholeness, okay? Wholeness. If you are on a journey of self-love, on a path of self-love, and you actually think that something is broken, you actually think that you have to fix something because you're coming from a place of scarcity, or something is not enough, like you're just not enough, so when you do this, when you love yourself, then it'll be enough, okay? That's not going to work. Again, you couldn't even be authentic if it's coming from that place. Actually, you can. So even if you're being authentic, it's for the reason of you and you're doing all those 4 things, but you're believing, your starting point is starting from a lack, you'll never get there. Because the thing about love is infinite. So it's in the beginning, it's in the middle, in the end. You got to start with love, you got to persevere with love, you got to end it with love. You just got to keep going with love. And so what that looks like is you're in full acceptance. So you have to start from a place of acceptance. And that in itself is a journey. Okay? So once you finally get to the point where you fully accepted where you're at, you don't judge a thing about yourself, and you make this about an enjoyable journey, about just more discoveries of yourself, then you go from enough to more than enough. So, but it's always enough. You're always coming from a place where you're in full acceptance. If you don't do that, the journey is not going to be joyful. When we come from a place of scarcity and we're trying to get something that we don't have enough of, it becomes this rat race and it doesn't become enjoyable, and anything that you don't enjoy just doesn't last. You won't stick to the process. So I promise you, if you consider these 3 whys and you take on this journey of self-love, you will find success. You will not fail. You may have challenges along the way and roadblocks. They may be perceived as failures, but they're actually opportunities. And as long as you keep remembering these 3 whys, then you're good to go. And the rest is gravy. Oh, and one last thing. Take this on like as if you just started dating someone that you're interested in. Okay? And so in order for you to fall more deeply in love with them, you want to take the time to really get to learn about them and understand them. It becomes exciting. And if you're looking to judge them to see if they fit your ideal of how it should be, you'll never be happy, like in any relationship, right? But if you fully accept the person and you slowly grow with them, and you learn about them, you really try to understand them and take the time to understand them, then that's just going to naturally evolve and grow into a greater love. And so that's where it really starts. You really first have to choose you, then you got to date you, and you got to get interested in yourself and take on that journey and just grow and evolve and find excitement in that process with yourself, and you will continue to fall in love.